News First, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a splendid morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And this morning, continuing with our coverage and discussions on what appears to be a constitutional, some would say political crisis. We're here this morning and we're joined by citizen Gunaruwan. Citizen Gunaruwan is a remarkable sort of person, Sri Lankan. He is the former General Manager Railways and former Secretary Transport and currently the senior lecturer at the University of Colombo, and his speciality is economics. I thought we'll have him on the program because in my view, more than anything else, our economy is taking a huge nosedive. And to discuss that and a little bit more, and on this whole matter of the Constitution, he's right here with us, Citizen Gunaruwan. Very good morning to you.
Hi, Bon.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Because I really want to get a feedback on this program, which is watched by several, the opinion of somebody from the citizenry. But of course, your background, as I just explained, is in railways and transport, and now I'm very interested in the fact that you're the senior lecturer at the Department of Economics, University of Colombo. What do your students say about what's happening?
Well, let me say what I feel.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think most of the students feel.
Right.
Relieved. Just
Really?
one word. Relieved.
Relieved at what?
Because at least for a while that we were under severe kind of pressure, watching what's going on in the economy. Day by day our economy was being foreignized, I would say.
Right.
Our national rights, our national ownership of the economy was being eroded.
Right.
So we are relieved that the administration which was responsible for that appears to be out from power. Because if this continued for another 4, 5, 6 months, we would have been in a serious problem in the economy. One thing for us, as Sri Lankans, we all should uphold our national sovereignty above anything. Forget about economy, forget about any other thing.
Our Sri Lanka.
Our Sri Lanka, we are Sri Lanka.
One nation, one country.
One country. And we should have our sovereign rights to decide on our fate.
Yeah.
That's the supreme. And even UN, I'm not a constitutional expert,
No.
even UN, I think I have read, has upheld this view that nobody should play with the sovereignty of an independent nation. So we are independent people, we are a sovereign nation, we should have control of our affairs, including in the economy. What was happening over the past 3.5 years? In front of our eyes, we were seeing day by day that one after the other, the controlling gadgets were given away from our hands to the foreign powers. We lost Hambantota Harbour. Hambantota is a strategic location. Forget about its harbour being. It's a strategic locality because it's the closest point
To the international highway, the marine highway.
Now that was given away. Forget about the intricacies and the details of that. But
And this is a sort of a vanity project.
Exactly. That's another aspect of it. But whatever it is, can Sri Lankans endorse a part of our strategic asset being given to a foreign party for 99 years? Now, do you think
in England, that term 99 years is referred to as a virtual freehold.
Virtual free, exactly, freehold. Now the point is, a government which was elected by our own people, government which was elected by the Sri Lankans, to work for the Sri Lankan interest, can you believe that this kind of thing happens? And if this continued for another 3, 4, 5 months time, we would have probably lost Mattala Airport. You would have probably lost Colombo East Terminal. You would have probably lost Trincomalee Harbour. And we would have probably lost KKS Harbour and many other strategic assets we would have probably lost for the country. So I'm relieved that this happened. And we are, I mean, our problem was not this. Our problem was, why didn't the president do this 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago? He should have done it 1.5 years ago. Then the country would have at least saved Hambantota Harbour.
I watched and heard, and I've listened to it again and again, the speech made by President Sri Lanka. And when he said, you know, he referred to a Vedanawa, you know, I can understand that, because it seemed that he was fighting, trying to get to grips with this almost errant political partner of his. And he said that he was doing this and he did that, and 4 months ago he asked so and so to be the Prime Minister, and he asked another person to be the Prime Minister, and so it appeared that he, in his mind, he had this huge conundrum going on in his head, and it appeared that his choice finally was the third choice, was the third man. I want to ask you this. I want to know what opinion is down there, and especially with the students.
Well,
is their opinion, is this you know, you said that the relief, okay? I want to know whether there is any concern that the third man, the third choice, who is now the gazetted Prime Minister, did the fact that he was the person who lost the presidency 3.5 years ago, did that worry you? Does it worry you?
Well,
does it worry your people?
Well, I don't know. I have not asked this question from anyone in that perspective.
Yes, what is the ambience?
Let me tell you what I feel like.
Yeah.
What matters is arresting the current downturn and downflow of the economy and the sovereignty of this country.
You're talking about the wholesale sale of our...
Wholesale outgoing of our national rights of this country. Look at the very fact that the Singapore trade agreement.
Yeah.
Now that is something where I cannot believe a parliament or a government which was elected and which was given a mandate by the people to decide on their own the tariff policy of a country. Now, how can that be given by an agreement to another party, Singapore or whoever, that we have no right thereafter to change that? It looks like when you sign bilateral trade agreements for us,
it is bilateral.
It is bilateral, and it is a signature given by a country, by a government, which perpetuates. And it looks like a future government cannot change it if this continues.
And I'm so glad you're mentioning this, because, you know, if you remember the agreement with Singapore, and if I remember the chronological order of that, the cabinet wanted it to go to the Attorney General and to come back to the cabinet for a final decision. Unfortunately, it went to the AG and then it went to signing. And Minister Malik Samaravikrama signed it. And he maintained, even in Parliament, that he did nothing wrong, and that if we didn't like it, anyone who didn't like it can go to court. Well, I do wish that they remember these very words, because if they don't like what's happening in this current system, and if they disagree, you're not an expert, I'm not an expert, but the experts are there at the Supreme Court.
Why couldn't they refer to
And why did they go to the Attorney General?
We have gone to the
is what I want to know.
We have gone to the Supreme Court for Hambantota sellout.
Exactly.
We have gone to the Supreme Court regarding Singapore agreement. So let's hope the judicial procedure makes the sense of it and give the right verdict. But what happens when a government places a signature pawning our sovereign rights to another country?
Yes.
It becomes a bit of a difficult thing diplomatically. You know, this is what happens. So we don't expect any country, forget about it, is past 3.5 years, even the present administration or any future administration to that matter. We don't want, as sovereign people, we don't want as citizens of a sovereign country, that a government gives away the people's sovereign right to make policies about the country. Now these bilateral trade agreements apparently is a backdoor to lock our rights in that kind of area, that even fiscal policy is restricted by the agreements.
On Newsline, we encourage our viewers to send us SMSs, and we've already started receiving some. I'll read one out just a moment. 0772 300 305. Don't call it, please. Just send us an SMS, and not on WhatsApp, because I can't be flipping through two things. However, the program is apparently being watched live in Australia, because I also have a message from somebody in Australia. But it's not for this program. It's was for the program with Bandula Jasekra this morning on Patigada, and that was directed to Dr. Lalithasiri. I will forward that on to Bandula, and he will address it. Now then, this question might be relevant because of what we were just talking about, and that says there, and this thing's giving me trouble this morning, ask your learned friend who took all those massive loans to build those white elephants to start with. How did they think they were going to pay them off? That's the question from a viewer, and I also want to add my little bit to it, and that is it of any international concern whether we can pay it or not, or whether we've taken so much of loans?
Loans, foreign particularly, are bad. Whether that is taken by X, Y or Z, they're bad.
Right.
Particularly when a country is supposed to be in a debt trap,
Yeah.
or overburdened with foreign debt,
Yeah.
and above a certain limit of debt management,
Yeah.
obtaining further foreign loans and going into dependence on foreign borrowings is basically pawning the sovereignty, economic sovereignty of a country.
Yeah.
Talking about the loans taken before, that is why people gave a verdict in January 2015
Yeah.
for a government not to do the same thing, not to repeat the same thing.
Indeed.
At that time, people were saying, look, projects financed out of bilateral financial agreements, projects financed out of Exim Bank credit from China or India,
Yeah.
without having competitive open tender procedure,
Yeah.
are bad, and that was where a lot of supposedly corruption and other things took place. That was the complaint.
That's right.
And the government which was elected in January 2015 and again in August
The
2000,
National Front for Good Governance.
National Front for Good Governance,
Yeah.
came basically on the platform that those things will not happen thereafter.
And you believed it, didn't you? When you
Exactly, I believed that
as Citizen Gunaruwan
Citizen
believed
Gunaruwan
that.
believed it, and Citizen Gunaruwan wanted that platform from the government got elected in 2015. What happened? Not only the thing continued, but it became worse. I
Yeah.
can give you a classic example.
Yeah.
For 4 stations being signalled in the Southern Railway, is an area where I know a little bit in detail, from Mathura to Beliata.
Yeah.
These people are going to get a Chinese loan,
Yeah.
bilateral loan without any competitive procedure of bidding,
Yeah.
for a Chinese company for 2,200 million
Yeah.
Sri Lankan rupees, when the thing could be done locally by Sri Lanka Railway,
Yeah.
according to an engineer who came and made a presentation at the recent conference organized by University of Moratuwa.
Yes.
And he got the award for that as best innovation in that area.
Right.
Saying that he could do it within 200 million Sri Lankan rupees. So why spending 2,200 million for something that can be locally turned out for 200 million? So for that we elected this government. How can we say that X, Y or Z is wrong when these people who got elected based on that very premise that we will not do it again, doing the same thing again? So this was basically ruining the country, ruining the economy. So we are glad that it happened and it stopped at least now. Whether it's going to repeat in the future, we don't know.
Yeah.
And we will fight against that also if that happens. What else can we do as Citizen Gunaruwan? What can we do? We have to be determined to fight against it.
So it's a situation of it's never too late.
Never too late, because at least a disaster can be stopped at this stage and lesson can be learnt out of it, and then path can be corrected. I think
Is Citizen Gunaruwan concerned that part of the new government was changed because of those very concerns that you just mentioned?
I'm concerned because, you know, when you see the colors changing, just heads changing, that's not what we want. What we want is the change of the path.
Yeah.
What we want is the path be changed towards patriotic.
Are you saying alut para kotan?
Alut para kapan lo na abi. That's what we want. And that alut para was never cut since 1977. See, this is basically the pathetic story. In 1977, we changed the economic policy and said we opened the economy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what happened to us? Before 1977, we had about 3% growth rate.
Yeah.
After all these sacrifices and opening up and everything, what do we have now? The same thing. Before 1977, we did not have foreign debts and we were standing strong among the international community. What do we have now? We are, the governments also say that we are in debt crisis.
Right.
So this 35 years experience in neoliberal economic policy, what has it brought to us? Nothing. Now, unfortunately, what happens is these economic doctors come up and tell us the problem is not the economic policy, but the patient who has not behaved well with the medicine given. So you have to behave well, you have to follow the instructions properly, and you have to take the pills given in the same kind of dose and all. What the problem that was there was that you did not take the pills properly. But these doctors never question whether the prescription itself was wrong. No, what we think is this neoliberal prescription itself is wrong. Economic doctors, please, we request you to open your eyes and look at the economic policy path is wrong. We have to cut a different economic policy path which puts the country back into the sovereign track. That's what I see, the shout and the noise coming from international community.
Yes, I was formulating this question in my mind. Is citizen Gunaruwan concerned that the international community are making all sorts of statements?
Normal, because international community now sees that their stooges who were put into power have been taken out, and those who gradually one after the other removed the sovereign powers of the people of the country were handed over to these foreign capitalists, foreign powers one by one are being taken out systematically. So they are worried, natural, because this government, the government which was in power from 2015 to until recently, I think never served the country's interests. And the people in the power, the politicians in the power at that time served their international masters. And that is why these international masters are now worried and started shouting.
Let's, please indulge me, citizen Gunaruwan. I like that. Please indulge me, and let's listen to Lord Naseby from the United Kingdom. The sound might not be very good, but you know, it's the best we can do. And it's important, this little clip. Let's have a go.
As far as I can see, there's nothing unconstitutional. Every country has its constitution. I see nothing that's happened that is unconstitutional. It's unusual, yes, but we've had unusual things in the UK. We were supposed to have a fixed term parliament, 5 years fixed, but we never got that far. It was cut short. So these things happen, these things change. And I'm sure those who are involved, particularly the president, who is elected, an executive, he will have acted in the interest of the country. Of that I'm quite sure. I've met him on a number of occasions. I think he's a very wise man, and I'm sure whatever action he's decided will have been in the interest of the country. I haven't read the Constitution in great detail, but it's there, and there are many lawyers who will have slightly different views, I'm sure. But that's the challenge with lawyers. And it's not for a foreigner to determine whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional. And I am unhappy that a former British junior minister put down a question suggesting it was unconstitutional. That is not the role, I believe, of the UK parliamentarians. You know, you have your own constitution. We as UK, people who take an interest in Sri Lanka, of course want to help Sri Lanka. But I've been very careful over my 50 years plus of never supporting any one party or doing any business. And I would suggest to my colleagues that they do exactly the same.
Lord Naseby, a British politician. What is the most striking part of that to you, citizen Gunaruwan?
Citizen Gunaruwan is Sri Lankan. So I don't want even Lord Naseby coming up and saying, commenting on Sri Lankan constitution and whether it is constitutional or not. But I like his statement that he says, look, that is none of our business. That is none of British business. He says, let Sri Lankan people sort it out. To that part, I agree. Lord Naseby or anyone else British coming up and saying whether it is constitutional or not is none of their business. Let me remind to you that there were presidents of this country who sacked British diplomats. David Gladstone was sacked because of some comment that he made on the internal affairs. Let's hope that we will have leaders.
Sent home, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was sacked. He was sent home. He was sent home. Now, what I'm saying is, we want leaders of that stature and that power in this country. We want leaders who would never sacrifice, never, for anything, our national interests and national authority of making decisions. What have the British got to do? British Parliament talking about Sri Lankan affairs? Now, what will happen if Sri Lankan Parliament starts talking about British constitution? There is no constitution in Britain, written one. So we will say, okay, we have a debate in Sri Lankan Parliament about British people not having a written constitution. What have we got to do with it? Wouldn't it become a joke if we start talking about British people should start having a written constitution? Otherwise, the British people...
Lord Naseby said that they wanted a fixed-term parliament.
Exactly. So, I mean, these kind of things are...
Perhaps they can learn from what's happened here.
Happening in Sri Lanka.
Because we have a virtual fixed-term parliament.
Let them learn it. We don't want to teach them lessons, right?
Okay.
So, let them learn it if they want. But point is, we are a sovereign nation, our British friends. We are no longer your colony. We are sovereign Sri Lanka. And let us sort out our matters within. That's the message that citizens Gunaruwan and all citizens of Gunaruwan's nature are telling the international friends.
You know, I'm enjoying this show this morning. I always do. 0772 300 305. And to our viewers out there in the Middle East, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, very good day to you, and thank you for pitching up so early to watch this thing. Now then, but what is it? I want to ask you another aspect, because following the reports yesterday, you served as the Secretary to the Ministry of Transport. Now, in this situation, I know you're not the Secretary now, but in this situation where you turn up to work one morning, or you've driven there and you've heard, hopefully you tuned to Yes FM 101, our channel, or to Legends, and you've heard that the President of our country has issued a gazette notification. He's changed the Prime Minister. When you sit there, when you get to your office, what happens?
I'm no longer Secretary, because when the executive is changed, particularly the President or the Prime Minister, the entire cabinet and the ministry portfolios plus the secretaries automatically gets abolished.
Right. So until the President exercises his powers to appoint the Secretary. Now, when he, let's say that he's already, well, he's done that in certain cases, he's already done that and at certain ministries. Now, when he appoints, let's say he's reappointed you and you're back again, you're Secretary, right? Secretary of Transport. And then you have a message again on television, hopefully through Newsfirst, wherever, you've heard that the former minister is saying to you, or saying to the people, excuse me, I'm still the minister, you've got to take orders from me, and you, Secretary Gunaruwan, you can't be taking orders from the new minister, because he's not a new minister. Well, what happens then?
My appointing authority is President.
Right.
Secretaries are appointed by the chief executive of the country, the President. I'm answerable to President only, no one else. So I will act according to his directives, that's all.
Yeah. Now then, here you go. This is a message that has come through. Dr. Harsha's statement during our particular program early this morning. If some sits in Mr. Emma's seat, what can he do but to go to the police? Due respect to him, our group. Oh, I see. Right, here you go. If someone sit in our chairman, Mr. RR's seat, what can he do but to go to the police? Due respect to him, our group is a private institution and the shares are controlled by our chairman. Importantly, he does not know whether the chairman won't go running to the police or foreign embassies, but physically throw him out. Knowing our chairman, I think he'll do the last
Exactly,
one.
he'll do that.
Yes, because it's his.
Yeah.
Just sling him out on your hook, mate. You know. So, do you think that that is what's going to happen? Because now, citizen Gunaruwan, do you know? You must know that part of your property, which is also called temple trees popularly, is being occupied by, according to the Gazette notifications, by a former Prime Minister. Is he? Do you think, Citizen Gunaruwan, you are expecting that person to pay rent or to clear the way?
It's the purview of the Secretary to the Prime Minister to look into it. Because I think, to my understanding, I'm not very sure about where the authorities do fall in there.
Yeah.
The Secretary to the Prime Minister will have to act on that, because all public property coming within the Prime Ministerial portfolio would be administered by the Secretary to the Prime Minister. So he should take action on that.
He should take action on that.
Yeah.
Is Citizen Gunaruwan concerned that the peace that we seem to enjoy, okay, give all these sort of comings and goings on about these two prime ministers, this, that, and the other, but amidst all that, by and large,
there is disturbance now. There is apparent instability,
yes,
and there's apparent.
Are you worried about that getting out of hand?
Whenever there is a change, there is a bit of a stirring on.
Yeah.
Certain stirring ons are better for the country.
Right.
So this instability, I would imagine it's short-lived.
Right.
I would urge also
Yeah.
that this be sorted out,
Yeah.
not within 225 people in Parliament. Let's go in front of the public, the general public, and public should give a verdict what they want to have, and whether the path of the 3.5 years preceding to this decision was endorsed by the people, or would they want a different path, as we said, a new path to be cut.
Yeah.
I think the best solution for this, as all Mahanayaka Theros also advocated, is to go in front of the public for a general election. Now there is another question coming up, whether President has powers to dissolve the Parliament at this stage.
Yeah.
Again, I am no constitutional expert to tell you whether he can do it or not.
Yeah.
But I think that he can at least go for a referendum.
Right.
So President can finally say, okay, people, please tell me whether you endorse my decision or not. Whether you endorse that we have a new general election. Go for a referendum and let the people's verdict come in. Those people who think that they are saviors of democracy and people's rights across the globe cannot disagree with that, because we are going in front of the people, sovereign people, and people making a decision.
Is Citizen Gunaruwan concerned that there have been no provincial elections in
Precisely, yes. Well, I personally think that provincial councils are white elephants. That's a different matter economically. But the way this 3.5 year Yapalana government postponed the provincial elections was ridiculous. And that was basically killing the people's right to elect their own provincial councils.
I know that Citizen Gunaruwan told us earlier that he doesn't want any foreign intervention and foreign commentary. However, what you've just said is, if I'm right, go to the people.
Go to the people of the country, not foreign countries.
Sir Winston Churchill said the same thing.
So go to the people. Go to the people and get their verdict. And if President can very well ask the people to decide whether his decision was right or wrong. And then the people will give a verdict. And if the people say, yes, 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 Mr. President, what you did was right, call for general election then. If there is any constitutional hiccup, that his hands are tied, that he cannot call for general elections now. That's what I am saying.
Right.
I think his hands are still strong to call for a referendum.
Flexible enough to call.
I think so.
To call for a referendum. That's a wonderful aspect that I must say that hadn't crossed my mind. But Citizen Gunaruwan, former Secretary Transport and former General Manager Railways, thank you very much for an eye-opening, thought-provoking appearance on Newsline.
Faraz, the change was good. Change is always the opening for a new vision and a path. And this change, if did not happen, we would have been in shambles and ruins. So even this lately, the decision taken by the President for the country's sake, Citizen Gunaruwan endorses it.
Thank you. And that's the way it was, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are watching Newsline. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed the program, and that you will continue to send us your questions, 0772 300 305, and we'll have another guest, another topic tomorrow evening. It's live tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Sri Lanka time. Take care, and God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.